about the ready to cook paste. A lot of people have this notion that ready to cook means not healthy. Break that myth.
So that's a very valid question and something that a lot of our customers had before they tried our product.
How was your childhood? Like, what did you used to dream about?
Anytime somebody asked me what I would do, my answer would always be that I would run a business.
Tell me, how did Shark Tank finally happen?
It's a beast, like in terms of production.
It is.
So the Shark Tank and pitching in front of well-known entrepreneurs teach me about my own self. We got some great feedback and we got some not so great feedback also. What it boils down to is how do you take each of those things, positive or negative, in the best stride, and then how do you improvise on that?
What was your experience from it after the episode aired? Like, how things changed for you?
एक की OTT पे है, national TV पे नहीं है, दूसरा मुझे deal नहीं मिला. Maybe people are going to be very negative about it. What happened next truly blew my mind.
Hey everyone, this is Shruti. Welcome to my podcast, I'm Just Curious, where I talk of all things I'm curious about with the people I'm curious about and how they turn their passion into their profession. Today on the podcast, I'm joined by someone who truly knows how to spice things up. Richy Dave, the founder of Tulua, the spice brand that recently made waves on Shark Tank India. She went from leading a marketing agency to spicing up kitchens across the country with her brand Tulua. We're diving into her shift from services to products, building a brand from scratch and what it really takes to turn a passion into a business. Hi Richy, how are you? Welcome to I'm Just Curious.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much. We've been trying to get this done for a while and finally we are here. I'm super excited to talk to you. We had a little bit of chat off camera and we couldn't stop talking. So I'm very excited about this conversation.
Me too. I love a good yap session.
Yeah, I can see that and the energy is full on there and I'm like, wow, that's great. You know, I love when people like love to talk and express, and so that's great. So let's start from the beginning. We talked about that you've been born and brought up in Bombay, right?
Yeah.
Talk to me about like how was your childhood? Like, what did you used to dream about? As a child, everyone has a dream, right? When people ask, oh, what will you become when you will grow up? So what was your answer when people would ask you that, okay, this is what I'll become when I grow up?
You know, surprisingly, ever since I was a child, anytime somebody asked me what I would do once I grew up, my answer would always be that I would run a business. Okay. To an extent where I think I was in my primary school, and this is really funny because somebody corrected me on it back in school. You know, they would get students to get up and be like, what do you want to be? And I said, I'll be a businessman. And my teacher was like, no, but you'll be a businesswoman. And that was pretty funny. And like, so ever since I was a child, I always knew that this is what I was meant to do, or this is what like I was built for. So that was very clear. And also, like, you know, my entire trajectory in Bombay, we do schooling till the 10th grade and then our college begins, and like most other
junior
places,
college.
Yeah. So right after my 10th grade, I started working. I interned 5 years non-stop, like right from the age of 15 till 20, 21, like, you know, whenever I graduated, I interned every single year. And for me, I looked at it as, how do I get ahead of the game, or how do I absorb more instead of doing everything else, like going to coffee shops or hookah parlors, which also I did a little bit of, but how do I be more constructive and productive with my time?
Right.
So those 5 years I interned throughout. I worked at Channel V, I worked at MTV, I worked with a magazine, I did artist management, I did literally everything I could.
Wow.
With an intention of learning more about myself and about my skills and, you know, sort of applying it on the go. So even for my graduation, like I did bachelor's in mass media, BMM, I worked throughout. Like the last 2 years, I was I was working full time. And what that did is it helped me build a network, A, and B, I was able to save all the money, which I then invested in my first startup, which was a digital marketing agency. So I did that. That was my trajectory. Like I always worked. I did my first startup, which was a marketing agency, worked with a lot of really cool brands that were Indian brands, homegrown startups. Myself, my team was an extension of their internal team because they were in a pretty early stage too. So I learned so much about go-to-market strategy, understanding what product works with what market. because it was so much of marketing, it gave me a lot of time to sort of break down the customer psyche, understand how India as a country functions, which I think is beautiful. Like India is so many countries within a country.
Yeah.
And that is just beautiful. Like it is a marketer's dream, really. So it helped me sort of get a deep insight into how the customer psyche is and how it is changing as well. Because if we look at it just for the last 6 years, 10 years even, it has changed so much. Like India as a country has changed. Our socio-economic has changed so much in the country as well. So that has been interesting. I worked on my creative marketing agency for about 5 years. Around the 3rd year, I knew I wanted to do something in product, because services is fun, but product was something that I was a lot more excited about.
It was calling you, basically.
It was calling me. I could see. I'm a Gujju and a Marwadi, like half and half.
Oh my, deadly combination.
Deadly combo,
Deadly.
right? So I could see the numbers. I could be like, okay, like, how can I get the numbers to sort of increase? And product is the, way to go according to me. And when I was looking at, what kind of product I want to get into, it was like food for me was a no-brainer. Couple of things. Like one, I feel like Indian food, Indian ingredients, they are still at a very nascent stage globally. Like right now, we've broken the barrier from people looking at Indian food as curry and are now really interested in our ingredients like alakadong turmeric or our millets, ashwagandha. Like, all of these things are now trend. Like, they're all trending outside of India. Makhana, all of those things, which is something that we've grown up with.
Yeah.
I feel like Indian food has so much cultural depth because everything that is on our plate is well thought of. If there is haldi, if there is jeera, if there is chawal, they've all thought about it.
Intentional.
It's so intentional. It's not randomly there. It's all very intentional. And that comes with very deep cultural, backbone to it and significance to it. So that was one reason where I was like, Indian food is still at the brink. And I want to champion that and I want to take it to the world, which is something that you'll see with Tulua, like, our branding, our design language, our choice of ingredients, sourcing, all of that is, a reflection of that. Second, what I noticed is that my peers, our generation of women, basically, maybe even you, our mums sort of told us, you focus on your education and you focus on your career. You don't need to spend a lot of time in the kitchen. So the transfer of recipes sort of stopped. Like, for example, I love dal dhokli, okay? And I don't know how to make it. If I want it, I need to go to my mom's house to eat it. Similarly, I saw that happening with so many other people as well. Men, women, all of us fall under that category. And then I started speculating. I was like, will we as a culture ever get to a place where we don't know how to cook our food anymore? Like if there is a ghee roast which comes from Mangalore, are we going to forget how to make it? Or is Vindaloo going to be a forgotten recipe? So that was the starting point of Tulua as a brand, because I was like, how do I archive these recipes that are so special to me? And how do I bring it to somebody like me or you in a very easy to cook format? Because let's be real, we don't have like an hour or 2 hours to stand in front of a stove twice a day. So how can we simplify that? And lastly, like I knew food because no matter what happens, people are always eating. Food is the last business to go out of business because you're always going to want it. So yeah, like, that is all of those things put together brought me to a place where I was ready to, start Tulua.
That is very interesting. But I have to ask this to you. So you were in the marketing, you were like, okay, I have to make this shift to product. And you were like, okay, I want to get into the food space. But what exactly was that thing? Was that transformation factor that what drew you towards food? What is that experience that you've had with food all along in your childhood that drew you to that? Or it was just that, okay, that thing that, oh, I am not able to figure out or recall a recipe, or I don't know a recipe that's a favorite of mine, and it was just that? Or was it like much deeper than that?
It's very interesting that you ask that, and you ask about like my childhood journey with food. I had a very complicated relationship with food growing up.
Oh, really?
Like I was a super picky eater. I would not want, like I would sit for hours in front of my plate. Like it from lunch till evening, I'm just in front of my plate. Like I can't physically eat. So I had a very tricky relationship with food growing up. And what that did is at some point during my college years, my teenage, I started becoming very curious about food and very curious about flavors. So what I realized is that at my house, there was only a specific kind of food. Vegetarian, very specific, dal bhat, rotli shaak kind of food, okay?
Yeah.
But then I started, which after a point of time gets monotonous.
Yeah.
What started getting me into food really is when I started discovering that food as I view it was very limited, but there is so much more in terms of flavors, and that started blowing my mind. Like for example, bhindi, basic. Okay?
Yeah.
I love bhindi.
Never had bhindi.
What?
I know this will be controversial.
Yeah, I get it though. Like there are bhindi lovers and haters.
But you finish first and then I'll continue with that.
So yeah, like any sabzi, okay? You take bhindi for example. The way that it was cooked at my house versus the way that it was cooked at a South Indian's house or somebody else's, it's the same thing, but it's so different.
Yeah.
And that started getting me very curious about how is it cooked, what are the masalas used,
Techniques, flavors.
what is coconut. We never ate coconut, like coconut wasn't a big part of our food. But for example, my husband, who I dated since school, his food, and he's from Kerala, like his family is from Kerala, so it was very coconut heavy. So I was like, okay, this is so different. So that started getting me very curious. And that then I spiraled into, okay, ye kaise banta hai? What is the thought process behind it? Why is it that in my culture these ingredients are not used, but in somebody else's culture those ingredients are used? So I got really deep into that. Then about the ready to cook thing, right? Like I moved out of my parents' house, and my biggest challenge became that with the hours that I work and then the time that I want to take for myself, there is no time to slot in for elaborate meals.
Yeah.
And especially like, now I have a cook coming in, but like 5 years back, I didn't have a cook coming in. I didn't have the time for a cook either. So how do I come up with a product that makes life easy for people? Because I looked for ready to cook and there were very limited options that time, and even more limited in Indian recipes. So if I don't want to eat the basic kadhai, makhni, jalfrezi kind of recipes, and if I want something that is more regional, that it is not available. And if it is available, it is full of additives. Like if it has thickening agents, it has acidity stabilizers. What are those ingredients going to do to my body? Because I like eating clean. I don't like having additives. I don't like having a lot of processed things. Like I try to avoid as much as possible. So a lot of those things put together, got me to like food for me, I think was always a no-brainer, because I also feel like it is one of those things that breaks barrier. It is the thing that brings people closer. You don't need to be speaking the same language, but if you're having a meal together, you are indefinitely friends. So yeah, I think that's what led me to food.
That's very interesting. Actually, I have to say this, we share that in common, that the complicated relationship with food. Yeah. I also have that. I used to look at my plate and I used to be scared of food.
Me too.
I feel like we need to get this checked. What is this thing called? We need to speak to I feel like sometimes, the other day also I was thinking about it. That when I remember it, it's so crazy to me.
Daunting, right?
Yeah, because, okay, I'll tell you why I came up to it. Because recently I was traveling to shoot this, right? And so I was like, okay, I'm in Bombay, might as well try a new restaurant, okay? So I was like, okay, let me try this tasting menu that's, really famous of this new restaurant that has started, and it's a world's 50 best whatever restaurant and everything. When I asked them what's the menu, I couldn't find it, because I was like, I need to see what I'm eating. I'm so picky, this, that. And they were like, we can't tell you. I was like, then I can't go maybe. I'm like, I don't. And then I was like looking online, they make this cactus ice cream and I'm like, oh my, मैं normal दाल चावल मुश्किल से खा रही हूँ कैसे. So I am so relieved right now to meet somebody who understands that, you know. And oh my God, like, you know, I don't know, for people watching this, for someone being scared of food, looking at their plate and thinking like, should I even eat this? And when they've eaten it so many times, it's not like, you know, roti, sabzi, everything you eat, but still every time you look at it, you're like, I'm scared to eat it.
For me, it was more boredom than scared. Like, I was bored. I don't want to eat it. I don't want, like, also I feel like, you know, in Indian culture, because food is love language, for so many of our mothers, aunts, grandmoms, like, you know, food is love language. So you want to keep feeding. And then it is a schedule, right? Breakfast, lunch, dinner, doodh. Like, I don't want it.
Yes.
I have been lactose intolerant since I was a child. I have been throwing up after having milk since I was 3, 4, whatever. So then what happened? Like, for me, I do resonate with being scared about new things, which I feel is something that I had to break out of, and I naturally broke out of it. Also because ingredients keep changing, right? So I fully resonate with that. For me, it was more of boredom. For me, it was more like, don't keep telling me to eat. Don't force me. Nahi khaya ja raha hai 3 chapati. Like, I'm not able to do it. I want to be done at 1. But no, you need nutrition, so you must.
That happened with me also. My mom, she's like forcefully feeding me all the time. I'm like, ab meko nahi khana hai.
That's exactly what happened.
Oh my God, I'm having this moment with you right now about
we are trauma bonding.
So I mean, you know, it's like I was always very non-experimental, but again, there's one more thing in common that I would like to put out. Like, one of my friends, when I was in college, she was also South Indian. She brought lemon rice once, and we all used to, you know, and in during the recess time, we all used to like share. So like 10-15 of us girls, like in college, not even in school, like we all would, like, in one area, we put out all our tiffins and everyone eats whatever, and just everyone's just standing. I ate that lemon rice and I was like, what is this thing? My mind was blown with the lemon rice. I was like, okay, so, you know, like, it's so interesting how flavors can create curiosity and how they can open up a new, you know, perspective in our brain that, okay, maybe thoda I can try and experiment. But it's really interesting to me that someone who has been in that place now to working in the space that you're working in, and see, this is also one of the things we share and put out stories, right? People don't get like why, and when you know someone's why, of why they must have got into something, why they do what they do, and they think, you know, like for some people, when they watched you on Shark Tank, it might have been like that, okay, she just woke up one day and started a spice brand. But now that when people will watch this, they will be like, okay, you know, now I get it. Now I understand. And when she will put out something, there will be a lot more nuance to it. There will be a lot more thought behind it, right? So tell me, like, how you were like, okay, I want to do this. I want to try new recipes and everything. Or like, you know, want to make people's lives easier with recipes and everything. But then how did actually Tulua start? And how did you name it? First of all, I love the name.
Thank you.
It's one of the most amazing names recently of a brand that I've heard. It's very pleasant sounding. How did it all happen? How did Tulua start finally?
How it went about was, I knew, like, you know, we spoke about how I got to a place where I knew it had to be food. And then I moved out of my parents' house, and I knew that, like, what I was looking for was literally my own problem that I could solve, and I could solve it for so many other people as well, which is, how do you make something that is delicious, healthy, and convenient coexist? Because when you look at the Venn diagram and of it overlapping, those things don't overlap. If it's fast, then it's not healthy. Or if it is tasty, then probably it's not healthy. Like, you know, all of those things. Or if it is all of those things, then it is not something that is very convenient or exciting in terms of flavors. So that became my problem. Like, that was my personal problem, where I was like, mujhe ghee roast khana hai, ya mujhe butter masala banana hai, but I don't want to spend hours. And I want something that will definitely taste good. So then I started on that journey, where I was like, is there a way to make this clean? And everybody can say that it's preservative free. Fine. But there are other things as well. You flip the box and then you see that are there any natural colors, natural flavors, approved, whatever.
Yeah.
Things that you don't, like things that you read and you don't understand.
Yeah.
As a layman, that becomes our problem, right? Where if there's an acidity regulator, कौन सी acidity regulate कर रहा है वो product की पेट की? It's a question, right?
True,
like what is
yeah.
it regulating? Or if there is a thickening agent, once it enters your system, what is it going to thicken?
Yeah.
Because it's thickening something in there.
Yeah.
But what is it going to thicken in
Inside the system.
Inside you.
Yeah.
So I was like, how? And I was like, I don't want to play with anybody's health or life because I wouldn't want that for myself.
Yeah.
So how do I then make it clean? Can I make a product that is only made of the ingredients जो मेरी pantry में है या सबके kitchen में है? ऐसा हम अगर product बना सकते हैं, then I'll put my name to it.
Yeah.
So that started a really long journey of me trying to figure out, like this process took me about 2.5 years easy of just being like, this is my idea and how do I bring this in a ready to cook format? Contract manufacturers, spoke to a lot of them. All of them had additives at that point. And now there I'm so happy to know that now there are other brands that are also additive free and very clean. But तभी नहीं था. It did not exist. Like even for us to be like there are no acidity regulators is a very big production challenge for us. So what I did is I partnered up with a couple of my friends who know how to cook and are chefs. I'm not a chef. I love eating. I'm a foodie now. A big flip happened, but
that's a good thing.
Yeah. So I'm a foodie. So I want to eat and I want to make my life easy. But I don't want to spend hours cooking because to master that skill, I'm going to take very long. So then I started partnering up with chefs and I was like, I want to make this and I want to make this in this format. And then right before COVID hone wala hai, nobody knew, right? So 2019 is when I decided that, okay, now I'm going to get into this full time. Like 2020 was my horizon. I was like, Abhi, I will do it along with my agency. And then 2019 and 2020 onwards, this is going to be, I'm going to pivot. 2020, none of the contract manufacturers were making this kind of product. So we set up our own manufacturing.
Okay.
A pretty smallish manufacturing setup based out of Bombay because that's where I'm from. And everything was pretty much okay. Did a couple of test batches, all good. Started the marketing rollout and all of that. My pre-order date was 17th of March.
Okay.
The same day as Janta curfew. And I was like, you know what? I'm not feeling right about this because everybody's like talking about different things. How about we push this to 20th? Because
that's when the lockdown happened.
That's when the lockdown happened.
Yeah.
And I was like, because there were a couple of things that I was waiting on. Like my retort pouches were meant to come from outside of Bombay. A couple of my ingredients, like my my organic coconut milk powder was coming from Kerala. वो सब कुछ transit में था for a larger production batch. So 17th, it was all on its way. 17th तक आया नहीं था, so I was like, let's push it to 20th. Between 17th to 20th, the world changed. The borders were closed, my boxes were in production, वो आधा production हो गए, रुक गया. And then there was this entire uncertainty looming, being like, what is going to happen? Are we going to be able to launch? Is this something that I can sustain? Because there was no funding. And there was no crazy family backup or anything like that. I started it with my own personal savings. So there was only so much, which was meant to take me to a certain point. And then I was like, okay, so right now we can't launch. There is no product to launch. And then COVID happened. And then about 3 months went in complete uncertainty. At some point, a month and a half or 2 months later, we started, there was an essential pass that, you could procure. So I had to walk from my house till the BMC office because right before the lockdown, I sold my car to have some more funds for Tulua. So I was like, ठीक है, Uber कर लूँगी, auto कर लूँगी, it'll be fine. Let me get these couple of extra lakhs will help me a lot. So I sold off my car 2 weeks before COVID. So I had to literally walk. It wasn't a really long walk, but it was still a walk from my house till the BMC office. And then I had to convince them to give me a essential pass, not just for myself, but also for my team. So that was a very like interesting journey. With respect to what you asked about the name, right? I wanted a name that doesn't mean a lot of things to a lot of people. It needs to look aesthetic. It needs to roll off the tongue easy. It can't be a very complicated Indian name which becomes difficult for people outside of India to say. Or it can't be a name that reminds you of another product or another thing altogether. Like something that, can be built on. So next time when you hear Tulua, you'll think of Tulua.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted. And so after a lot of research and a lot of like checking on copyright sites being like, does anybody have this? I boiled down to Tulua.
But that's a very interesting journey. I would have loved to hear more, like, about your COVID journey and everything, because, and also like one very interesting thing you said that you, for 2 years after you decided that you're going to get into this space, you were working on it. You were not rushing to get a product out there, right? I think this is also one thing that people can learn and see, that it's not as easy, because nowadays people feel like that, the way the culture is, the way startup culture, entrepreneurship culture is so in your face. And with the Shark Tank, it has done good things, but at the same time, it has overwhelmed people, that I'm sure a lot of people feel this pressure that they want to do something and they just have to immediately ASAP do it, right? But I think people can also like see and take learning from your experience, that you took time to build, to figure out, to test, to create recipes, to formulate, and it's like a long process. It's not like one day you wake up and you have everything ready in your head, and it's a journey. You go there step by step, like you said. So how did so you started this ready to cook pastes. You started Tulua with that, right? And so how did that go about, and how did it finally start? You said that there was COVID and you were like struggling to get it on board and get everything running. So once everything was running, what were you gaining in terms of feedback? And talk to me about that, and how did the journey proceed from there?
Yeah, so once things sort of stabilized, basically once the borders opened up, which was like, the state borders opened up, that's when we could actually resume. For the first year and a half, we were still operating out of our test kitchen in Bombay, doing really small batches. And I'm the kind of person, I like to take my time. I don't like to rush things. It's also a bit of like trying to get everything perfect a little bit. So and also like I look at things in decades. I don't count in months or years. Like I'm always counting in decades.
That's a very good quality to have in today's times.
Thank you. Like I'm like, I'll be slow, but I'll be stable. I don't want to rush too much. I am rushing, but I'm rushing in making sure that things, like once something is done, it is done right. I don't want to do a redo. Like, so that's the idea. Once the state borders opened up, things started moving. The product got a great response. My biggest challenge after that became the spices, because it's a clean product. And it's an Indian product. So when it's a clean product, it is a very transparent product. Your raw ingredients make or break your end product. There is no kind of additional color or flavor or anything like that I can add for it to compensate. Another thing is that it's Indian. So the spices is what is used the most in it. So that became a challenge where, largely India is an unorganized spice market. And what that means is that if I'm procuring, say, suppose 50 kilos of Kashmiri chili whole for a batch of Vindaloo, every couple of weeks, I'm going into production. So every couple of weeks, I'm ordering that spice. Batch on batch, I'm getting a different quality. We think chili is chili, jeera to jeera hota hai. No, but there are so many grades within it. For example, I would get chilies that would sometimes be extremely spicy. And I needed to give a mild spice and a good color. Or it would come with fungus on it. There is no QC. There is no QC. It's not even branded. It's just coming like, in bulk. Same with jeera. Like I need jeera for the big flavor and aroma it lends. What I'm getting is it's a little powdery. It's not adding that.
It's not
fragrance.
consistent, basically.
It's not. It's a purane harvest ka batch hai. It's not fresh. The spices you need for fragrance and flavor,
You need
wo
fresh.
nahi aa raha hai. So that became a pain point where I was like, how do I now solve this for myself? Again, I was operating at my space where I wanted to make sure everything is, is right and is perfect and is the best that we can do. Like I would always think, is this the best that I can give to a customer? Is there something better than this out there? So spices became a pain point, and I had a lot of time and I fixate on things. So I started fixating on it and I was like, jeera kahan pe acha milega? Ya mirchi kahan ki achhi hai? So that then put me onto this beautiful path of understanding something that we were taught so early in school, being like, India is an agricultural country and we are an agri-rich life.
Oh my God, I haven't heard that in a long time.
But we were constantly told
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
geography ka sabse bada thing was that. Like India, what was India's original occupation? Agriculture. So I was like, okay, तो ये सारी चीजें तो है हमारे पास, let me go find it. And I was literally a girl in a room researching. I was like, where is the best haldi? Haldi is in everything. Why is there different kinds of haldi? It makes sense, right? India, agri-rich country, everything is grown everywhere. So haldi is grown in Maharashtra, in Tamil Nadu, in Meghalaya. What is different about it? What makes it special? I spiraled. I got really into it and I was like, let me find the best. Not to give to a customer immediately, but for my own use, for my ready-to-cook paste. Does this make a big difference? And then I saw it made like a huge impact. I didn't need so much. I needed less quantity. A little would go a long way. It would always be consistent. The flavor was amazing. The aroma was amazing. Check. Couple of months passed. So this would have been, I would have started on this journey around start of 2021. By towards the end of 2022-ish is when I was like, okay, now I've created this really nice network of high quality spices that I'm procuring from across the country. Around this time, the lockdown was also fully done. Like third lockdown, ho gaya. Cooks started coming back home. And when that happened, and I'm an analytical person. I like to look at my reports. I like to look at my numbers on a daily basis. I started observing that the trend on my ready to cook was sort of dipping. This was all like, I had not raised any money. I'm still like on my personal savings, still working on receivables from the, from what I'm selling. And I was like, ye lag raha hai mujhe bleak. I can see
As COVID was
opening up, I was like, I don't have 30 lakhs right now to push into marketing. I didn't have money to do performance marketing. I could not do any ads on social media. So the only way I can get a customer is word of mouth. अभी मेरे word of mouth वाले customer अगर 1000 है और उनमें से अगर 500 के घर पे दीदी आ गई to make खाना, मैं क्या करूँगी? So I was like, okay, I can see that it is going from X number of orders to Y number of orders, and I can predict that this is going to dip unless I am able to push more money into this. So then I came to a crossroad where I was like, okay, what do I do? Like, should I take a break from Tulua? Should I do something else? Because I don't have the funds to push into it. I'm completely running dry now. It also came to a point where I could not go in the market and raise any fresh funds because it would be my first round. And as a first round, you're always seeing what are the last 3 months or what was, the 1 quarter, 2 quarter dipping trajectory nobody wants to touch. So I was like, okay, I have to turn this around. And to do that, I had to take a very hard call and look internally, like look at my systems. I was like, I'm waking up every single day for the last 2 years. And every single day in the morning, I'm going to work. I'm not taking breaks. I'm not taking offs. There's something I've created that is of value that is going to help me sustain. Look deep in and I was like, okay, what we have created for ourselves is this really good supply chain or network of high quality spices. What if I take this to market, not as D2C, but to other institutions like restaurants, cafes, hotels. And that's called Horeka as a market, and it's a very difficult market to enter.
Why is it difficult to enter?
Because it's very regional, one, and it's think of it as a small community. Everybody, सबका काम चल रहा है. It is very hard to get into hotels and tell them that okay, change this, that ये आटा जो आप use कर रहे हो, stop using this, use mine. और ये मसाले जो आप use कर रहे हो, stop using this, use mine. It's built on relationships, and it is built on trust, and because you know what, they'll be okay with taking a slight hit on quality but not consistency. Like, because it's high pressure for them. They don't know kitne log aane wale hain restaurant mein. Restaurant business is a very naked business, because today you might have 10 tables out of the 50 tables that you have, and tomorrow you might have 70 waiting.
Yeah.
It fluctuates. Yeah. So for them, they are ordering not पूरे महीने का साथ में.
अच्छा.
They are ordering हफ्ते से.
Oh.
Looking at the trend. Suppose there is suddenly floods or suddenly COVID, they are not going to sit on all of that stock, right? Oh. So they need vendors that are going to promise them delivery, are going to ensure that you'll get nobody's mailing you the order. You're getting it on WhatsApp. They're calling you. They'll be like, I need, suppose itna jeera. What they care about is when they need something, is their vendor coming through with it? So it's completely based on trust and relationships. For me, or for Tulua, what worked really well was my father, and my father's background. So my father has this really vast experience of sales and distribution. He's been into sales and distribution from the grassroots level, as a field sales person to grew up, grew the ranks through it. And he has this really rich experience of Horeka specifically, where before joining Tulua for about 7 years, he was only doing Horeka. So I was like, and even before starting Tulua, this was a very big, point for me that at any point, if I want to enter this vertical, I have somebody who I can blindly trust to, help me build this. Yeah. So I was like, okay, right now, coming back to where I was at the fork, I was like, mere paas paise bache hai nahi to go into a new production. I don't have money to push into marketing, into performance marketing. I want my business to sustain. What more product lines can I do? Or what new markets can I open? And that's when, with the last bit of money that I had, which was barely anything, I bought spices. And my branding has always been good. So I'd tweak the branding a little bit, made it look good. Yeah. Focused completely on quality. You were like, if the quality is good, people will want to buy it. And then with me and my dad were the only people who were reaching out to restaurants and chefs and hotels and being like, try our product. You take it for free right now, you try it. आप एक बार देखो, आप एक बार इस्तेमाल करो and see if you like it. End of 2022, we started this. By the start of 2023, first quarter of 2023, we saw it grow. We saw it suddenly started becoming like a wildfire.
Exponentially
in Bombay, because it's a small community. Chefs are talking to each other. They're like, okay, I got this and isme fungus nahi aayega 100%. That's what they care about. Yeah. And it has been beautiful since then. We spent 2 quarters, 6 months, only focusing on quality and only focusing on getting feedback from our chefs. Because it's a professional use, right? Yeah. They are the best people to give us feedback. Once we were happy with the product, we then launched it on D2C with a very limited range.
But when you were talking to chefs and when you were providing them products, were you providing them whole spices or were you providing them powdered spices? Both. Okay. And where were you so you were procuring all these spices from different parts of the country?
Correct.
So how does that work? How challenging is that? To source one ingredient from somewhere else and one, how does that work?
It's very difficult because logistics in India is challenging. It's a very vast country. Even when we order something from a D2C brand or a brand's website, बहुत time लग जाता है कभी-कभी आने में, because the brand or whoever will dispatch it immediately. But the number of stages that it has to sort of
Clear.
shift through or clear before it gets to you, any hub could be shut. Suddenly बारिश हो गई अहमदाबाद में, for example, उधर का hub बंद हो गया. It's a 3-day delay. It's difficult. Like logistics in India is difficult or is challenging, I would say, only because of how large this country is. And every place it works differently. So it was challenging to procure. Like for example, if I want to get Lakadong turmeric from Meghalaya, I've never been to Meghalaya in my life. I don't speak the language. I don't speak Khasi. Why will they trust me? So it took time, like building those relationships, forming that trust, building that kind of understanding of the growth. Like, today I might buy 10 kilos from you, tomorrow I might need 1 ton. That sort of a thing. It took time. But again, what worked for me is I don't rush. I take my time. I'm working in decades. Like I'm planning for that. So I was like, before I even took it to market, I had built those relationships. So like that's what I told you. It took me 2 years. 2021 ke start se 2022 ke end tak, like till the start of 2023, I was only forming networks.
So, researching.
I didn't go with मुझे कल या मुझे 1 महीने में इतने टन ये वाले spices बेचने हैं. I didn't do that. I took my time. I was like, quality is the first and foremost thing. So that challenging bit, right, of how do I scale? Because then when we started, we suddenly went from like 100 kilos to 1 ton, and then 2, and then 10. That happens really quickly. You can't foresee it. That's when the challenge actually starts. Are your vendors going to be able to provide that to you? Is your relationship strong enough that they will, prioritize your order? So because I'd taken time and because like they also felt like they grew with us, we were able to crack it. But had I done it thinking that I'm going to start a spice brand and I'm going to sell these many packets of jeera, then it would have been a completely different ballgame.
Yeah, then it would have become more transactional, right?
Correct.
Now it feels like more of a relationship that where you are growing and they are growing. And earlier it would have felt more like, okay, I need this, I need to it would have felt more transactional. Tell me, how did Shark Tank finally happen in all of this, And then we'll get into like a lot of things that, after that also in general, like a lot of startups face problems with funding and, like, should you raise funding? Should you not raise funding? We'll also talk about your thoughts on that.
$1 million question.
Yeah, exactly. So, but let's just for now start with how did Shark Tank come about? And was it like your plan that you were planning that, okay, I want to go on Shark Tank? Or was it something that just happened?
So, Shark Tank, it's a beast, like in terms of production.
It is
so well done. Like, hats off to Sony for the kind of effort they put in. It was a very long process. It didn't happen overnight. I didn't get invited to it. I had to apply. And then it's a very long process. Like, you have to clear so many stages. Again, like, so many startups in India. Everybody wants to be a part of it.
I've spoken to a few people. A few guests of mine have been to Shark Tank, and they tell me like it's like a thing. It's a thing.
It's a process. It's a time commitment, self-commitment. Yeah. Like, the forms are really long. You have to really
be patient.
You need to carve out time more than anything to be able to, go through with it. But we applied and we went through all of the stages, and it took almost, I want to say, 6 months.
Okay.
Start to finish. And
after 6 months you recorded, or like within 6 months?
No, start to finish recording 6 months.
Okay.
And airing tak 1 saal ho jata hai. Like, almost.
Okay.
So yeah, it was a really fun experience. So for us, that was a really fun thing to like be able to put our passion out. Like, also for me, right? Like, for us, how many people can really say that they had this experience of being on national television, doing a reality show sort of a thing with their father. So that was also something very special. So it was a long process, daunting process, but very happy we did it.
Yeah, And what was your experience from it after the episode aired? Like how things changed for you? Or what are some of the things that you look back and you were like, okay, this is the feedback I got, and this is how I look at it, and this is the feedback I'm getting from the viewers or the audience, how they're receiving something, or talk to me about that. How was the aftermath of the Shark Tank experience for you? And would you suggest or would you recommend somebody going through that process? What was your experience in terms of that? Or would you suggest that no, like normal marketing can also give you that much of visibility that Shark Tank gives? Like, what's your take on that?
I hear you. So for us, right, for me personally, I would first talk as a founder and then as the company. The entire process of, constantly thinking about how you're positioning your brand, or how is it that you want the sharks to view you, how you want the country to perceive you, it adds a sense of excitement, because suddenly you're looking at your business from a different lens, which I think is a great process to go through. For me, putting myself out there and pitching on national TV, it breaks a lot of barriers for you as a person, I feel. So that was an interesting experience, especially to be able to then groom my dad for it and tell him that, okay, this is what we have to do and this is how we have to present ourselves. It's not easy. It takes a lot, especially for somebody who's not been in front of the camera.
Exactly.
My dad has never been on the camera.
Yeah.
So for him, it was like, neither has he ever pitched. Like, I handle all of that. So that was a good experience. That was something that also helped me visualize the brand in different ways. We went, we all saw the episode, we saw how it went. We were very okay with it. Like, we went in knowing that this could go either way.
Yeah.
Anything that you do in life, whether you win or you don't in that particular moment, it's not the ultimate thing.
Yeah.
What I always ask myself is if something doesn't go down the way that I would want for it to, is what did it teach me? Because no experience in life is a wasted experience.
Yeah.
So what did going to Shark Tank and pitching in front of 5 really well-known entrepreneurs teach me about my own self? We got some great feedback and we got some not so great feedback also. What it boils down to is, how do you take each of those things, positive or negative, in the best stride, and then how do you improvise on that?
Yeah.
Does that make you a better person? Does that comment have the ability to shape you in certain ways? Yeah. But then I'm an eternal optimist. Like, I always look at what is the best I can get from this and what is the worst that will happen.
Yeah.
And going in, I prepped myself. I prepped my dad. I was like, ye kuch bhi ho sakta hai. We might get it. We might not get it. The idea is to have fun.
Yeah.
The idea is to look at this in hindsight as a positive activity that we did together, because you're standing there for 2.5 hours pitching.
2.5 hours?
It's a really long time.
Yeah.
And as, when you get a negative comment, it can break you. It can shake your trust in yourself and in what you're building. So to not have that happen, I had to shield it. I had to be like, okay, end of the day, everybody is a human being. If they are saying something, it's an opinion. I can take it or I can leave it. What is more important for me is how are my viewers or my potential customers viewing it. And that's what even Sony told us. Like, in our episode, what was really interesting is that all sharks said different things. They were very inconsistent amongst themselves. सबका feedback अलग था.
Yeah.
किसी का बहुत अच्छा था, किसी का मुझे भी नहीं समझ में आया why it was like that. And when they then go on your personality, or when you feel attacked a little bit, right? You feel like, why did you, what was the reason for that?
What exactly did they say?
Like, you see the episode, they're like, oh, maybe there's no founder market fit.
I remember. Yeah.
Why would somebody say that? Yeah. Because I have been able to scale and I can see it happen. And, I've got all the checks. I am omni-channel. I am according to me, when I look at the theses on which brands are built, this is a more traditional long-term way to build it. So this makes sense to me. So, and comments come. And then there were some really good comments where, one of the sharks said that I was one of the most...
picture, you pitched him earlier and then he missed the opportunity. And
he was like, I'm one of the better founders he's met in the year and all of that. So it was a mixed bag. I was like, how am I taking this back? What am I taking out of this? And how does my story resonate with India? Because that's the main thing. These are only 5 people. Here, I have billions of people. And when the episode was going to go live, right, they don't show you anything before that. So I was very anxious. I was very nervous. I was like, Pata nahi, what are they going to show? Are they going to show the good parts, the bad parts? Is it going to be very juicy? Is it not? So I did this thing, and I love celebrating things. I'm a big celebrator. I got all of my favorite people, my friends, my family, and I threw a viewing party. I was like, मेरे को भी नहीं पता क्या दिखाने वाले हैं.
As you should.
I was like, maybe they will show Tulua as a terrible brand. Maybe they'll show me as a really good founder. We don't know.
Yeah.
So I was like, let's celebrate. Let's all meet. We went to one of my favorite restaurants in Bombay called Bandra Bon. And Bandra Bon team also helped us do this
set up the
projector and TV and everything was there. And then we saw it, and when I was watching it, right, I was watching it with 2 things in mind. एक कि ये OTT पे है, national TV पे नहीं है. दूसरा मुझे deal नहीं मिला. So maybe people are going to be very negative about it. What happened next truly blew my mind. I have never seen that many sessions on my Shopify. People from across India were dialing in. They were looking. They were ordering. My phone was just going kaching. And that was something that I was not expecting. I had thought so much about the worst case that I didn't allow myself to think about the best case. What I realized is that I was protecting myself. And my team and my dad and all of that, where I was like, this can go bad. Let's work with an assumption कि बहुत ही खराब बताया. But then when I actually saw it, I was like, okay, this went really well. And, good things they said and bad things also they said, but it was okay. It wasn't it wasn't what I was thinking as my worst case. And then after that, what happened is that we were able to sustain it. So we saw a 3x growth, and then we were able to sustain it. Till now, we've not seen a dip.
Oh, wow.
In fact, what also came out of that is a lot of customers who were looking for very clean label options.
In terms of powdered spices?
Powdered spices, whole spices, as well as our pastes.
Oh, okay.
They reached out to us. Right. They've now become our regular customers. Just yesterday, one of our customers, she wrote to me, her order was slightly delayed, and she wrote to me being like, this is my second order, and I have ordered in bulk. And I could see that she's ordered in bulk. Usually, somebody will order 600, 700 rupees ka spices. She'd ordered 2,500 ka spices. That's a lot of masala to buy. And she was like, I bought in bulk. I'm a little worried it's delayed. I was like, our team was like, don't worry, you will receive it. We checked with the on-ground team. And then I asked her, I reached out to her and I was like, I'm just curious, why did you order in bulk? And she was like, her family does not get an allergic reaction when they eat our food that's cooked in our spices. And she was like, I could not figure it out. And then after we bought your spices, it's not been happening. And that to me was like, this is literally what I care about.
Bigger than Shark Tank validation.
This is what I care about.
Yeah.
Am I putting something in the market, in the world, that is really good quality? Because ये पहनने की चीज नहीं है, लगाने की चीज नहीं है. It's something that's traveling through our body. It's like traveling through us completely.
Yeah.
So that was a very, very those kind of things make me feel like being on TV or being on a national platform helped me, helped my company, sure, but it's also helping people. And that was the best thing that comes out of Shark Tank. It's a bridge.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Whether you get the money, you don't get the money, whether you choose to take the money, don't choose to take the money, is all secondary, but are you able to resonate with your audience? That is the product market fit right there.
Which is also something that brings me to my next question, which is also something that you mentioned before as well, that about labels, right? clean labels and everything that people don't read, some people don't understand. You also mentioned a few things about like acidity regulators and stuff. So just talk a little bit more about that so that people can get an idea about how they can read a label. You know, what are the things to look for and what labels are called clean labels, because I myself don't know. You know, I don't think I do that much research with food like we talked about. Like I'm still not a converted foodie, by the way. I'm still like eating to survive. That's it. So, I mean, but how can somebody start with, and because I feel like I don't do that because it's intimidating to look at a food label. The language is so intimidating.
Which it shouldn't be.
Exactly. It should be very simple.
Shouldn't be. It's not something, it's not a cream you're applying that you don't know what's in it.
Even a cream should be simple. I've made creams in labs, and it's like you know the ingredients that have gone into it. So why do the labels get very tricky?
So interesting that you pointed that out.
Yeah.
What does clean label mean? Okay, इसको simplify करते हैं क्योंकि this is not marketing jargon. This is not something that any brand wants to say just to sell. No. Clean label means something that you read and you're able to understand. Saaf, like ingredients that you understand, especially with food. Like you've been in pharma, you know what it is like, right? When it comes to a medicine or a cream, those are things that we might not understand. Niacinamide kya hai? We will not know because we didn't study it. But food though we know na. We know what is ghee and what is oil and what is vinegar and all of those things.
Yeah.
So clean label in food, or for me or for Tulua, starts with that. When you read a label, first of all, it should not be daunting.
Yeah.
You should want to read it and you should want to understand every word that is in it. Because suddenly acidity stabilizer means what?
Yeah, exactly.
And how many things are acidity stabilizers? Because to me, acidity stabilizer is a umbrella which can have multiple things in it. Or if you're saying color, approved colors, what color? What approved artificial flavor? You don't know it, right?
From where it is artificially, extracted? What is the source? Like so much.
Completely.
Yeah.
So unknowns काफी है. So I was like, for Tulua, clean label is ingredients that every single Indian will understand. There is no fluff. It's not just something we say to sell. It is something I believe at my core. I will not eat it because it's not a bag of chips. Bag of chips I might have once a month. But मसाले तो मैं रोज खा रही हूँ ना, या रेडी टू कुक पेस्ट तो मैं वीकली बेसिस पे यूज कर रही हूँ. सो इफ आई एम हैविंग 3 meals a week at the very least with my ready to cook range, that's something that's going in my body. There are people who are having it on daily basis. I know people outside of the country who've taken cartons of it because they miss home and they don't have time and they can't constantly keep getting Uber Eats, right? So if somebody is going to be that dependent on the product, then it should be clean. It should be something that they understand. That was a very clear motto. We go to an extent where we also ensure that the raw ingredients that are in our product are clean. Like for example, we use milk solids and we use coconut milk powder. So 2 of our products, Malabar curry, which is a Kerala ka recipe, and Malai curry, which is a Bengali recipe, ready to cook ka. They have coconut milk in it.
Okay.
Now, to put coconut milk, we need coconut milk powder for our recipe. All the coconut milk powders, most of them have stabilizers. So my challenge was, how do I get a coconut milk powder that is organic, that does not have any acidity stabilizers, regulators, none of those things in it. We go that deep. We get into if there is tomato puree, like that we have to source, like it's not something that is made using tomatoes, is it clean? So we get really deep into the ingredients. Spices is just one of the ingredients which we got really deep into. But apart from that also, like we ensure that not just the ingredients that we, not just the product that we are selling, but also the ingredients that the product is made with is of high quality, which is why our products are slightly expensive. Like we sell our 160 gram pack for 200, 225 depending on what discounts are running, and that is expensive for people. It's not cheap, I know that, but I need to justify cost. I need to ensure, because it's very easy for me to make a product for 70 rupees. I would rather sell it for 70 rupees.
Yeah.
What that's going to do is it's going to immediately impact the raw ingredients. I can't do that because I need to sleep at night. I need to have that conscience clear.
Yeah. About the ready-to-cook pastes, a lot of people, including me, have this notion, or like my family members or somebody, that ready-to-cook means not healthy. Break that myth. Like, what makes your paste completely, eatable without feeling this guilt that, okay, maybe I'm not eating something healthy?
So that's a very valid question, and something that a lot of our customers had before they tried our product, and a question that even I had, that this is something how it could be perceived, because in Indian culture, we don't even cook in batches, right?
Exactly.
हमको सब fresh चाहिए.
Yeah.
Our rotis are fresh. Our rice is fresh.
Yeah.
हम लोग fridge का नहीं खाते हैं.
No.
हम अगले दिन का नहीं खाते. Like it's a thing.
हम सुबह से शाम तक का नहीं खाते.
हाँ. Like अगर कुछ बच गया है तो वो अलग रेसिपी बन जाएगा. If there is rotli left, it becomes a bagaredli rotli next day, right? Like it's a different thing.
It's a different
ऐसा
thing.
नहीं है कि हम ऐसे 4-5 दिन की सब्जी बना के.
Yeah. That's not the culture.
That's not our culture. So for this set of people who are like culturally disaligned with, eating packaged food, then you bring something that you are eating on a daily basis. Like if you're making a dal makhni or a ghee roast or whatever, that is your mains. वो आप चावल या रोटी के साथ खा रहे हो. So breaking that myth took some time for us. Also, our other experience with ready to cook or ready to eat has been, it has a peculiar taste or a aftertaste or a smell, right?
Okay.
Which a lot of products do. Now, if it has additives, it is going to smell like something that's not fully
organic or natural.
Not fully something that we are used to, or something that's not familiar.
Yeah.
You don't know what acidity stabilizer is going to taste like, right?
Yeah.
अभी अगर वो डला है, कुछ तो flavor आएगा उसका, कुछ तो होगा, right? So now that's something that's not familiar to people. With me also, if I've eaten any other, before I launched Tulua, when I was experimenting and looking at what is available in the market, some would taste really bad because its ingredients barabar nahi honge. बहुत सारे reason हो सकता है. I don't know what those are because those are not my brands.
Exactly.
But at Tulua, because we took a stand against any of these additives and a stand for high quality ingredients, when you open the pack, it smells like home cooked food. So it is basically a curry preparation. Jैसे if you were making ghee roast, it is right from the time of you chopping the onions to simmering the curry to having that curry ready for your sabzi or your meat or whatever to go in. It's that process simplified, put in a packet.
But how does that happen?
It takes a lot of time. And for it to be, अभी मैं बार-बार acidity stabilizer बोल रही हूँ, but for me to have a product that does not use an acidity stabilizer is very difficult because all my ingredients need to be that way. The pH level in my in the food
packet,
in the packet needs to be a certain amount. It can never cross a certain amount, otherwise it's not stable. वो इसको stabilize करता है. So I was like, so what I did is I looked at it. I was like, how to make this clean? How do I do it? Then I was like, it's possible because in our culture, हम लोग अचार तो बहुत सालों से डाल रहे हैं ना. Century से आम का अचार खराब क्यों नहीं हो रहा है? छुंदा खराब क्यों नहीं हो रहा है? Why are these things not? It is raw ingredient.
Yeah.
And I was like, oil and masala, that is what is our preservative.
Yes.
And either tamarind or kokum or any kind of vinegar, that is stabilizing your product.
A little bit of sugar as well.
Little bit of sugar, which is why it's balanced.
Yeah.
And I was like, it is possible to do it. What that does is it increases our R&D to a really long time. It's never an overnight product for us. कोई new product launch करने में काफी सारे new products are always in the pipeline.
Yeah.
Always reject, okay, can't do it. Anything that's green becomes difficult. क्योंकि अगर वो green को green करना है, अभी अगर आप घर पे, if you get curry leaves or if you get coriander, dhania, fresh, after 2 weeks, what happens to it? It wilts and it becomes brown, right?
Yeah.
That is the natural progression of that product, of that of that ingredient. So if I have to keep it green, it's not possible. It will go brown. So right now we're doing R&D on that. There is this one recipe that we want to bring out, which I won't tell you what it is, but it is green. So I can't have it be dark green. Like it can't be borderline brown, because people will be like, this is not good. So then it comes to that, like, it's a lot of R&D. It's a lot of ensuring that it checks everything. We are also one of the few brands that have FDA approval.
Oh, wow.
And have shipped like a container load of our pastes to the States. And when Shark Tank happened, right, a lot of people reached out to us. Like, तभी हमारा Shark Tank के time पे पेस्ट थे ही नहीं, हमने उसको sunset कर दिया था.
Yeah, I think I heard on the episode that you, after COVID, you were not doing pastes, and
yeah, like we were doing it in very limited
now.
Quantity, and then one of the sharks went like, हाँ ये चालू किया, ये बंद कर दिया, ये चालू किया, ये बंद कर दिया, and that struck a chord with our audience, where people started emailing, calling, messaging, being like, bring it back. We'll wait. I was like, I'm not sure. Like, it's बहुत ज़्यादा quantity बनाना पड़ता है. I don't want to sit on that kind of inventory. The last time we went out of stock and I was like, bus. Like, I'll bring it back later. It's a lot of cash investment on something that I'm not sure whether or not it will move. The number of people that reached out, our episode aired on the 6th or the 7th of March. Between that till mid-March, so many people reached out for the pastes. We put it on pre-order. Then, like, it went into production. Production takes really long for us again, because all our products go through a very, very strict sensory QC and lab QC, of course, but even sensory QC. So
what is sensory QC?
So I have parameters that I have placed for all our products, spices, pastes, all of that, broken down into all our senses: visual, fragrance, how does it taste? So these three mainly, and how does it feel? So broken down into that, and all of them have parameters. It needs to smell this way, it needs to taste this way, it needs to look this way, and it needs to have that kind of texture to it. If any of these don't match, then we do a rebatch. And so it takes time. At the production level, it is very stressful for them as well, because they know we will not approve something that is not meeting all our criteria, and then of course needs to be cleared by the labs as well. So mid-March, we started pre-orders for our pastes on the website, and now we are launching. Now it's back. Now it's like, we are in the launch phase of it. And through the last month and a half, 2 months, whatever, we've got like about 350, 400 pre-orders, and people are patiently waiting. They do reach out being like, when is it coming? And we tell them this is the process. Like, we brought it back after Shark Tank. And that was the power of TV as well for me, where people saw a product that we started and we stopped, and they heard the comments and they reached out to us being like, we're here to buy it. Like, we'll prove it to you by pre-ordering it.
That's really, that tells a lot about, how much authenticity that you've put into the product and how much trust that you've built with the consumer. Talk to me about, like, fundraising. Fundraising is a big, again, a big mountain, something that rests on the shoulder of like a founder, which is like so intimidating. Should you raise funding? Should a new startup raise funding, not raise funding? What are your thoughts on that? If somebody should raise funding, when should they raise funding?
So fundraising is, I think, one of the most difficult and the most critical thing that a founder can do. It totally depends on your appetite. There's not a one answer fits all over here. It depends on what is the cash flow that you are sitting on. What is your ability to infuse your own money? Those things play a role, right? I can only talk about a scenario which was like mine. I didn't come from heaps of money that I can just borrow. That was never an option. It was always the money that I have made and I have saved that I can put into my own business. That was very clear from the get-go. My parents will support in every way possible that they can, but funding my startup idea was not something that they were able to, and not something that I even expected, because I knew that, that's not the kind of pressure that I can put onto them. So for me, fundraising was something that was inevitable because a lot of my savings just went into product development. It's a difficult product to develop. It's not easy. ऐसा नहीं है कि मैंने कोई factory से कोई चीज़ बना के उसको label कर दिया. I made it from scratch. A lot of money went into it. A lot of effort, like, you're doing trial and error. You end up burning a lot of money in that. R&D is very expensive as well. Packaging, factory, all of those things. So it got to a point where to go from that -1 to 0, not even 0 to 1, I needed funds. And for me, it was particularly difficult to maneuver because I had never fundraised in the past. Neither do I come from the kind of family that has been doing fundraising for a while. So everything I had to learn myself from scratch. And also how do you pitch? What is pitching? Kisko pitch karna hai? Kaun se stage pe karna hai? What is the right thing to say? Wrong thing to say? You need guidance. I didn't have that. So a lot of it, like, I just had to figure out. I lucked out with a couple of really good mentors. People who sort of helped me and showed me the way. Couple of the startups that I had worked with in my marketing agency, who I reached out to being like, how did you fundraise? A lot of brands that I just happened to know, and I was like, kaise kiya? What is the way? Show me the path. Talk to me about it, And what is really commendable about the Indian startup ecosystem is that everybody wants to help. Nobody's being like, tu mat kar. Everybody's like, okay, this is what I did. Maybe you can learn from my mistakes even. So that was really good. The thing that sort of became challenging for me is that I'm a woman, single founder. Like, my dad is a co-founder, but I'm doing most of the things.
It's basically you.
Yeah. So unfortunately, women don't get as much funding. It is a thing, like, they have their own questions, concerns about it. I don't want to get into that, but it is a little more challenging, and there is
I'm sure.
enough data and statistics out there that will show you that it is a lot more difficult for women to go and fundraise, especially for a girl who is in her mid-20s. You're not taken that seriously. There are a lot of questions, rightly so. Somebody's like putting their hard-earned money into you. They want to know. Plus, all of these other things of woman, young, potential market, product shift, all of those things. I lucked out because I was able to reach out to people and ask for guidance. My first round was very difficult. Very, very difficult. It took me months, almost a year to do it. And so was my second round. But then you get to a place where, the business becomes bigger than you. It's no longer an idea. It is an engine of its own, which then becomes very hard for it to fail. And that's when you start getting real traction. To answer your question about should brands be fundraising, if you don't have your own money, you will have to. Otherwise, it will always just be a bedroom brand. If you want to get to scale, you will need to fundraise at some point. Especially if you're building from scratch, like how Tulua did. If you're just buying inventory, then maybe you don't need a lot of funds. But then, जैसे जैसे बढ़ते जाता है, वैसे वैसे cost बढ़ते जाता है. So you don't want to be in a position where you have reached point A, and the gap between A to B is funds. You don't want to restrict your growth. So you will need to fundraise. What I would, advise or suggest to any founder who's looking at it and who's confused about it is be very clear of your moat. Be very clear of your differentiator. There are some things that if you have started a brand or if you have come up with an idea, you're already winning, because most people are not doing that. You came up with something, you put your name to it, own it. And then reach out to people, ask for help, ask for advice. Nobody's going to really, not do that, and do it organically.
Yeah.
So I would say that, that is the biggest thing, like, believe in it. You have to do it. It is something, and don't look at it as something challenging or daunting. Look at it as like a fun or
something to explore.
Yeah, like something that is like an adventure that you're going on, and eventually things work out.
Yeah. But this is my a little bit of observation that I feel like people sometimes are, nowadays influenced a lot by the noise that is on social media and everything.
You can't help not to, right?
I agree.
Mean, it's glorified.
Yeah.
I feel like the startup culture is glorified. Being a founder is glorified. Raising funds is glorified.
Yeah.
If a startup comes in news, okay, ki suppose X startup raised so much money at so much valuation. आप जो देख रहे हो वो न्यूज़ में, you're only looking at the tail end of it. What you don't see is the hours that the founder put in, the questions that the founder had about whether or not her idea is going to work, the sleepless nights, the non-stop days of crying. We don't ever see all of that.
Yeah.
So yes, it's noise on social media, but I think it's well deserved for those brands. What does it do to somebody who is on the bylines trying to raise funds? It creates anxiety.
Yeah.
It creates a environment of usko mila, mujhe kyun nahi mila, what am I doing wrong? I should also be eyeing that. I should also be raising 3 million at so much valuation. And it happens with me also. Like when I was fundraising and I was getting zero interest, okay, from anybody. Like I was writing emails and everybody was like, no too soon, like you, but not right now. Wala response aa raha tha. And then I would see on social media, like, or on in LinkedIn that so and so brand got so and so money, and then it spirals you. And what I did very, very systematically for myself is I made myself aware that I'm not in a race with them. They deserve it. Good for them. I can be happy for them, but I should not be thinking that this is a race. This is not my competition with them. If they did it, means I can also do it. That's all I took from it. And if there are any specific pages that were constantly giving that info, मैंने उसको mute कर दिया, because I don't need to know every single race that is happening, right? Their race, their journey, very well deserved to them. The reason why I feel it is glorified so much is because you start with when you start building, it's of zero value, and then if it gets to 100 crore valuation or even a 30 crore valuation, that is a very big deal, because you took something that was just an idea. Your shares mean nothing. If you're sitting on 1,000 shares, it could be of 10 rupees value, 0 rupee value. But to consistently build something and unlock those levels means your valuation keeps increasing. So if today you invest in Tulua and you get suppose 10 shares for 10 rupees each, कल को उसका valuation बढ़ा 2-3 साल लग गए. Now suddenly your 10 rupees का share that you have 10 shares of 10 rupees, वो हो गया अभी 300 rupees per share. Imagine the excitement you will have. You as an investor are going to be so excited about it. And that's what the entire ecosystem is, right? Why is somebody funding a startup? It's high risk, high reward. And when these stories come out, it actually ensures that more startups will get funded. These stories are important. Yes, it hurts as a founder who's trying to raise, but community-wise, ecosystem-wise, it's very important. If there is a spice brand that will get big funding, I will also be interesting for other investors, because what does it say? That this market is appealing. अगर skincare brands को बार-बार funding मिलती है, उसका एक reason है, वो trend बन जाता है. What does it say? That people are interested to buy and these brands are doing well. So yes, it is a lot of noise online. You have to just learn to take the best from it and always know that it is important. If those stories never came out, we would go back to being a traditional business, going to banks asking for money, which we are so lucky we don't have to.
That's a very good point of view. Very good. Like I enjoyed, listening to that. I think we've talked about everything, but you mentioned something about female founders, like them not getting funds that easily, and and in general, the world is harder on women. We have so many statistics and studies that have gone on to say. What advice would you give to someone watching if they have an idea in their mind that they want to create a startup in that space? what would you tell them? Like how to go about it? What have you learned? And what are the few things that they can keep in their mind before taking that step, or like even after they've taken it?
So for me, I don't look at genders really.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody's the same. Unfortunately, that's not how the world works, right? Like I have been conditioned to think that male female sab same hai. There is no, like my mom and my dad do pretty much the same things. Like I didn't grow up in an environment where women were doing most of the like household things. My mom works, like I saw a very equal household. Unfortunately, that is not how it works.
Yeah.
Women are looked at in a certain way. I feel like the only advice, or it's more of an opinion really, is don't never let your gender be a part of discussion, because you're definitely more than a gender. Also, I come from a belief that if we were ever talking about gender roles, women are a superior gender.
Yeah.
We are stronger. There is
Yeah.
a lot of emotional strength that we have too. And the kind of problem solving that women can do, I feel like is on a different level, which is so important when it comes to running a business. You don't lose your cool that much. You're a lot more centered. There's a lot more leading with empathy. So you are actually going to get a lot of those things automatically. So you are already on a pedestal, is how I think. That's
You already
my
have a head
opinion.
start.
You have a head start. Like, we have grown up in a culture or in an environment, not just India, everywhere, where it was a male-dominated work environment, which is now changing. It's changing rapidly, but usko thoda time lag raha hai. So don't let your gender be a part of a conversation. If somebody ever brings it up, very politely check them and put them in their place. Like for me, FMCG is very male-dominated.
Yeah.
All my distributors are men. All of my purchase managers are men. Most of the people who I work with, except for my marketing team or my factory team, they're all men. Like anybody who I deal with, vendors, everybody is men.
Yeah.
So I, what I did in my office, the conference room where everybody comes for a meeting, my chairs are hot pink.
Wow, Barbie.
Barbie, they're very Barbie, okay? And I was like, this is my act of microfeminism. Because at no point can any gender think that they are superior, right? Like, or that the other one is not allowed. So I feel like don't let your gender be a part of the conversation. And if it is, then take pride in it. Don't be like, oh, because I'm a woman, I can't do this. You can do anything better. You can literally bring life.
Yeah.
So running a business is going to be something that will naturally come to you. There might be certain things that are initially a struggle. Like in my case, it was fundraising or building that level of trust with potential investors, because their questions would be, what if you get married? What if you have kids and all of that? And I think there are enough and more examples of women founders out there who are juggling all of these responsibilities with a lot of ease. So I would say just keep at it. Your mission was not because you're a woman or a man. Yeah. Your mission was because who you are as a person, and you chose to do what you want to do. You be on that. The people who don't align with it were not meant to be a part of your journey. Let them go.
Yeah.
But the people who see you and your vision and your capabilities will not care about your gender.
True, actually. And, this reminds me, I recently saw a reel of, I don't know if you know this comedian, Zarna Garg. Maybe you might know, she lives in the States and she's Indian. She recently said, it's a very funny reel, I'm going to send it to you today. She said that we are born for this. Like, we have inborn talent to be entrepreneurs. Like, why have we made our lives about
100% agreed.
What will be cooked for dinner tonight? Like,
100% agree. Like, if you think about it, and if you take it a couple of decades back, okay, men are working a job. They're not all of them are running business.
I think they're tired also now.
So they're doing a job and they're coming back. What are women doing? Women are the entrepreneurs of their households. They are raising kids. They are taking care of education. They are cooking. They're multitasking.
They're running an organization.
They're running an organization.
Yeah.
Especially joint families ke time pe.
Yeah.
You are maintaining HR bhi in-house ho raha hai. You are maintaining everybody's moods. Your logistics bhi in-house ho raha hai. Paise bhi wohi संभाल रहा है. We are born for this. I'm with Jharna.
Yeah,
We are 100% born for this.
She's like, anytime, and she started that video saying, it's such a funny thing she started with. She said that any guy or something she said, and if anyone says something that maybe women can't do this, something, and she said, I will tell them, sit down, you chipmunk. Like, something she said was so funny, this lady. She's like, and she was so spot on. She's like, it was very interesting. I'm going to send it to you.
I feel like the fact that women can function 2 weeks a month
That's what I was
with literally
blood flowing
out of their body, they can do anything.
Yeah, that's
men
exactly.
nahi ho payega.
Yeah. True. We I also heard that somebody said that we would have had PMS leaves if men were going through this, and I agree. Like to go through this, you guys have no idea. Okay, nobody has any idea about like this is.
Yeah. So I feel
crazy.
like women have a lot of strength already, and the kind of strength which is soft strength, it's there. We're always leading. It's just that we are not asserting in a way that, see what I did. You see, that's not what
It's
we do.
generational, no? It's
and I
it will
think
take time.
I don't think women need to really feel like the gender is what's in the way of their success.
True. Even Javed Akhtar, to end this topic on, even Javed Akhtar said that, like, women are foolish to be asking for equality. They have been way above men all along, like since the beginning of this,
That's superior.
So I'm like, okay, this is only like a good thing he said. So yeah, now we'll move to a little bit more fun segment, which is called Curious Quick 5. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
So what's the one thing that you're curious about recently, apart from Tulua, branding, like building startup, like something completely random?
I have been curious of late about a lot of skincare. I'm really getting into like, do we really need so many products and things like that? So I'm curious about that. I'm always very curious about culture. Like I feel like that is a theme in my life where like I'm the kind of traveler who, I'm not a tourist. I don't want to see a Statue of Liberty. I want to go into the boroughs and see kya chal raha hai, what is the food, what is the culture. So I think that I'm just curious. I'm curious about a lot of things simultaneously.
Yeah. I think you're someone who would go to see catacombs in Paris. When people would go to see the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, I was like, Eiffel Tower, I was like, the only way I've agreed to do Eiffel Tower is if we made a picnic out of it.
Yeah.
That was the only way I was convinced to go. I was like, kya karenge hum
That's
wo
the
light
only,
hote?
like,
I've already seen it on TV. I don't want to watch it again.
Novelty about it. Interesting. What's the one person that you're curious about, living or dead? It could be anyone.
What is the one person I am curious about? That is a very deep one. I would actually say that I'm curious about the monks or Dalai Lama, because in a world that is so materialistic, I want to know what does one need to do, or what headspace do they need to be in to be like, I'm happy with me and I don't need any of the materialistic things or like existence. And and that means that what we are looking forward, they're looking something into deeper, learning more about themselves, their mindfulness. There's no race. The monks have no race. They don't care about what watch you're wearing and what clothes you're wearing and what car you're driving. They are on a different spiritual journey.
What's the one place you're curious to travel to?
Oh, Japan. I have a Japan trip coming up and I'm very curious because, as Indians, I feel like हमें culture shock ज़्यादा होता नहीं है. And I've heard that Japan gives you that because you go there and you're like, oh my God, what is this?
Yeah.
So I'm very curious about that. I'm excited.
Tell me everything about that trip. I'm also like kind of
watch my stories.
Yeah, I will. What's the one book or author you're curious about? Or any piece of content also.
So I'll tell you content. There's a podcaster who I listen to, Andrew Huberman.
Okay. The neuroscience guy.
Yeah, I love it. Like I love all the guests that he brings on. I love the the topics of conversation as well. So I'm very curious about
and like his work.
His work.
Yeah, interesting. What's the one technology that you're curious about? Of course,
AI.
AI. But what application are you most looking forward to?
So I feel like AI has given us assistance. Like I look at it as everybody now has a PA and EA.
True.
And what I'm very curious about is to see that now we have this pool of information which is very filtered information. अब तक हम Google पे जाके सर्च कर रहे थे. अभी मैं Google पे जाती ही नहीं हूँ. I search everything on ChatGPT. Where I'm like, hey, what should I check out in Japan, for example?
It gives you curated.
It learns about you, right? So what I'm very curious to see is that how is this technology going to shape culture and our future? Because we see the shift every couple of years now. ऐसे हो जाता है.
Yeah.
Social media was one of it.
Yeah.
Before that, it was the internet. So now, and it's always people will first resist, then they will give in. If you are resisting, you're already out of the game. You are outdated.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see कि अभी ये AI से anybody can build a startup. Anybody can build a product. Anybody can do anything. Yeah. So how is the world going to progress? Does it mean that it is it is an accelerator that we're all sitting on now, where things will happen faster? Also, I'm curious to see that are people going to lose their jobs because of it? What is going to be relevant and not relevant? And right now we are on what, like, right now AI or ChatGPT or like Gemini and all of these things, they're basically infants right now.
Yeah.
What is going to happen in 5 years?
Yeah.
So I'm quite curious about that.
Yeah. When you say that, what is going to happen? I don't know. It gave me this robotic takeover vision. I don't know why.
I don't think so. Yeah, I think we're just made to believe that. I don't think that'll happen.
I think it could very.
Her wala situation nahi hoga.
Sorry?
You know that movie Her, where you should watch it. It's basically, it came out, I want to say 2008 or so, where AI hai, like, there's an AI model and this man falls in love with the AI model.
I think I've heard of that movie. I've not seen it.
It's not going to be like that, because I feel like people are very smart.
Not in that way, I mean. I just mean in terms of ruling us. Because human beings are intelligent, but it has a cap to it. Robotic intelligence has no cap to it. So where it will go, we don't know, because even the founder, it's taking a little that turn, but I just want to mention this. Even the founder of AI, like this person who used to work at Google, who did initial research for machine learning, he resigned. And now he's like, I'm scared of this thing. We don't know what it can do. And then
I think what it lacks is some regulations. If there are certain regulations in place, because end of the day, it's data, right? I can keep putting in data and then you know me completely. You can be my clone.
But it can also self-learn after a point. This is what the guy said.
If there are regulations to it, maybe.
Let's see.
Oh, time ki baat hai.
Yeah,
we'll find out.
It's still a long way to go. Now we've moved to the segment, which is called Curiosity Reversed. So in this season, I've started this segment where the guest also gets to ask me one question.
Just one question?
Just one. Thank God for me. Only one.
Okay. One question, let me pick.
Thank God I didn't say this before. Then people would have a little bit she's going to ask me tough questions, then I'll also ask her a tough question.
So you've been building this podcast for some time now. You're on your season 4.
Yeah.
So you have quite a bit of learnings.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Like, you're an entrepreneur as well. Like, this is your product and this is your baby. What has been your learning, and where do you see this grow into?
I see this grow into, okay, I'll answer the learning first. So I have learned a lot of things. I'm a very contradictory a person. Like, I want to hide, but at the same time I have skills that make me do this well. So it's very push and pull all the time. But I've learned so much from this. Like it's been, and I also feel like you can only do and learn things. Like, so I'll give you a smallest example, okay? Say like when we were scheduling this, when I sent you everything, all the details that, you know, what you should wear and stuff. Now earlier, like in the season 1, the first episode that I shot with my guest, the couch was white and she came wearing this off-white or like color crochet top, you know. And then we were in the edit, like the editor was like, you know, he pointed out something and I'm like, why is this looking, the color wise, it's not looking balanced, or like something's off, you know, you can tell it's not vibe. And he's like, next time tell your guests to wear like color that stands out on a couch. And I was like, I've never thought about this. So things like that I'm learning about, like mostly about like filming, about light. I feel like I want to do a course on lighting. I want to like study light. Like initially when I was struggling to you know, get the proper light or something. Now, like there are studios who have inbuilt lights, and even we also carry a light. But so light is something that I'm like, okay, kaise kare, kya kare, you know, I'm learning about light, which is something I never thought I would pay attention to, but light changes everything. How is something, so there are these small things that I'm learning, which is like more like related to stuff that I never studied in college. Like I did pharmacy, so I have no idea about how to film, what goes into. So slowly I'm learning these technical things about filming, which is very interesting to me. I'm enjoying it. And coming to the second set of question, what was that? It was, where do I see this grow into? What do I see this grow into? So I just I see this grow into, like, you know, it's very, I don't see this growing in itself in that way. You know, that's not the thing that comes to my mind when I think of growth through this podcast. What growth comes to my mind when I think of the word growth about this podcast is, if there's a person watching, you know, they have a desire to do something, and if they take that step or listen to a conversation and are inspired and are able to get that courage or whatever it may be and take action and do it. Forget about they succeeded, not succeeded, not important. But they did it. That action in itself is growth. I see growth in that sense. That if somebody watching takes that step, one step only, chalo, nahi karo pura. But ek bhi step lene, to imagine how would they feel. Like when I started doing this, I was like, like even now, I don't think of growth as ki kitne subscribers. Of course, people say that it's important, and maybe it is important. But I look at it ki, yaar, I'm doing this, that's the biggest growth for me.
How is it touching other people's lives?
Yeah, what change it is bringing in other people's life, what change people are able to bring in their own life through this is, you know, like people also say that your legacy is every life you've touched. So this podcast growth for me is like, even the subscribers that I have now, the comments that people write when they watch a video, when they watch somebody talk about, and I'm sure after watching your conversation also people will think like, oh, we never knew this about her, you know, now we get it. So those are the things that I look at growth. I don't look at growth in terms of ki, "Arey, mere itne numbers ho jaye." That would be great, that would be a cherry on the cake and side, you know, thing, but that's not what I'm in for. I'm also, a growth is also ki people whose stories and stories need to be out there for people to hear, you know, people whose voices need to be heard. We also live in a culture where, you know, if you are a big famous celebrity, then only your voice is out there constantly. But there are so many people having so many different kinds of experiences and, you know, things that make them human, things that make them special, and those are also stories that need to be shared. So that is also growth for me, that someone needs to get to tell their story, you know, that one day when they will look back and they can say that ki, oh, if you want to know about me, watch this episode. Like it'll give you a life like snapshot. So growth for me is in very intangible terms in those sense, and of course number growth will happen organically with time, as more people will resonate, as people who I want to interview, like those are on my wildest like dreams and list.
Like, do you aspire for this to become like a segment on TV, or like, is that something that, like, is that the direction you want to go in?
Again, I'm a little spiritual about that. I'm like, if it's if that's the direction that it has to go into, it's meant for, it will. And I'm up for it. I'm open to it. I'm not putting any barriers to it. I'm not putting any, that hold on to it. I also feel it could do very well. I also have all the skills that connects with people. I know that about myself. I'm aware a little bit of myself in that sense. So I'm sure if it will go on TV, it will touch, like I said, more people's lives. So, I mean, I'm open to it. Like, if you're saying it, hopefully it goes out and it manifests and it comes back, and then we'll have a chat again about it.
For sure.
Yeah. It was lovely having you. Thank you so much for doing this. Any last thoughts that you would like to share about being on the podcast, about the conversation that we had?
I think overall it was just a really fun conversation, like a candid yap.
Yep.
Which is like, which is always great. I feel like this was my first podcast. So I came in completely blind, but I feel like you also do a really good job at, organically maneuvering the conversation.
Yeah, but it also helps when the guest is also open. So your vibe was also like, it goes both ways. Like, so I think your vibe was also very open, honest, and organic. So it just, resonated like for both of us.